Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Astrology Victoria. Today, with your host Tatiana, also broadcasting for ANN Archetypal News Network. And today, I am bringing you the second half of February astro weather. And I would like to reflect a little bit on this past week or so and how the energies have been increasing and increasing before we jump into the next segment. So this past few weeks, or this past couple weeks, I gotta say, has been this amount of energy for pushing and changing, and change has been like inevitable. And unfortunately, there's kind of two groups of people that we can think of. The one group is, okay, if you've been doing changes already for a long time, because times of change have been literally this whole like past year. We have been pushed by evolution to make necessary changes to our societal structures. And also, if we want to be more free in our beings, like truly free, what does that look like? And this has been the path. Those who have already been acting in accordance to this, coherently with their actions, with what they feel is right, what gives you freedom truly, and really taking steps in reality, you might not feel these transits this month as brutal, abrupt, and crazy. So that's group number one. Group number two, well, if you're just really stuck to the old ways, stuck to the old relationships, stuck to the old work, stuck to the old ways of thinking about how reality is, the 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 ways things were, and I'm talking even pre-pandemic, and not only the way the world looked, but also the ways we think about how everything should be. And this is why it's so important to understand that these are evolutionary pushes. With Pluto in those last degrees in Capricorn, Pluto is at the 29th degree. This is the anaretic degree. This is like the last of it. This is like Pluto saying, bye bye, bye bye. And it has shown all the dark of the elites, of power, of control, of governments. And it's just exposing it and asking the question, do we really keep this? This needs to die. But at least we can make choices around that because we see what's putrefied already. And the new has been forming. The new ways of being existing that we have been talking about is less like this, more like that. That's the new. Whoever's not on that boat already, well, you're going to have a big shakeup. Unfortunately, also, we see things like that huge, massive earthquake in Turkey. And, those disasters obviously are humanitarian disasters. And at an evolutionary level, the thing with that, and that's why Uranus in Taurus, the earth, Taurus, Uranus, shake it. Sometimes it has to go through deep shakeups, like real physical, when we have not shaken things from our psyche into making changes that are necessary. Sometimes those shakeups come in countries, in places, in some people live it in a certain way, some people live it in a different way. For evolution, this is almost like needed. And that's why I say, fortunately, some have been already doing changes and might not feel that everything is so crazy because it has been slow and steady. Others, it's like, no, no, I'm stuck here. I'm stuck in the old ways. Then, bam, it's the boot. And that's kind of what happens when we're ignoring the signs, ignoring the pulls. This is why if the order wants to keep this, there's going to be revolution and fight. The need for freedom, it's like so present right now. The question, it's always, what is freedom? What is freedom for you? And that's what has been the question now in the second half of February, where we're going to have that. We did have the conjunction of Sun Saturn, and it's still active. So that conjunction is will still be active until about the 20th. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with the Venus Neptune conjunction we had last week, and how it still is playing out at the same time as having Sun Saturn. So I'm gonna tell to you what my experience was, because it was very bang on, but also was very conscious. So first of all, we had Valentine's Day, whether or not people celebrate it or care about what it is and where it came from. It's a tradition for many people to, meet with lovers and or friends, or hate on it, or I don't know, or go like, oh, I don't want this. This is crap. Regardless, it's a thing. So where I live, we decided to have a Valentine's event called Lovers of Light Unite. So it was not necessarily Valentine's, it's just Lovers of Light Unite. We just took the theme and thought, okay, how do we bring people together to celebrate friendship and love? Whatever love means, because love has so many meanings depending on the context. And so here's two things. The preparation for it was extremely Saturnian. You want to have that container for people to come and unite. Well, then you gotta definitely create a container, and that's the Sun Saturn. And I literally like worked my ass off to make sure every single detail was ready. When you're a host, that's the thing. You're kind of in it, but out of it. You're holding the container. That's the Saturn. And it was very, very prominent for me. And especially because it's interesting, because this Sun Saturn conjunction was exactly in conjunct with my personal sun. So it was, oh gosh, how to be myself within a context where I want to have fun and play and explore, but I need to be really mature about it and responsible. And and I chose that part of the Sun Saturn of responsibility. And because these things, then when you know the responsibility of what you're creating, this can last long time. And again, these are these containers for freedom, and it's like, I'm doing something I love to do. So it's how do we not be so harsh on ourselves and still allow for enjoyment? So this is the second part of that equation. The Venus Neptune conjunction, kind of at the same time as this was happening, was that event that was full of art. You have no idea. There were like, I was able to express my artistic gifts like so easily, and I created like this beautiful environment for people to come together. And obviously the next thing is that we were also working with a team. It was not me by myself. It was all the people I live with were contributing, and everybody did their part, and it was beautiful, and it flowed, and we all were very determined to make this happen. When the event happened, uh it was beautiful. People actually did connect. Everybody flowed. It was not necessarily for couples. We had this beautiful tunnel of whispers where people go together, and on each side it whispers to people coming through these beautiful things, like what they love about them. And people were crying. It was a very emotional, very Venus Neptune. It was so connected. You don't know who's talking to you. It's just these voices. It's like everybody, and that's that Neptunian field of the merging with all that is. So it's this, not defined, this is my partner, or that is my thing. This was this undefined. It's just love coming. So, and that was something that occurred. We did create a container for it, but then it flowed. The energy wanted to flow. And then obviously, more Sun Saturn for me. I created, I mean, by the way, I'm a visual artist, in case you don't know. And you can see in the description below, you can find my artwork, my offerings, my music, all of that. And okay, things aside, then I was creating another event, which was a dance event with music and projections and images, and same things, very Venusian, and a lot of work, so much work to put this together. And it was both energies at the same time. But what came of it? Again, so rewarding. People just came together. They were spontaneously singing and harmonizing with each other spontaneously. I was like blown away by the things people just create when you let them be and connect, and this freedom of expression and beauty. So it's interesting that that is my experience, while in other parts of the world, we have people being shaken to the ground. And this is the exact reason why I wanted to bring up these two groups of experience, and what we're doing in our lives to create consciously. So again, this is not to say we all have different experiences. And obviously, depending on your own birth chart, things will always look different. So yes, these transits of this month will definitely be more difficult for people who have planets or placements in Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio, especially at the end degrees of these signs, or if you have angles, because that's where these energies being like, it has to adjust. So these adjustments must feel probably difficult, but necessary. And this is what we need to understand. It's necessary. So this is why I wanted to share my personal experience, so that you understand how things can play out with a particular kind of energy or energies. And now, if you want to share your stories of how these energies have played for you, this Sun, Saturn, and Venus, Neptune conjunctions that we talked about last week. Now, a little bit more about the Sun, Saturn is that definitely we are being met with like the challenges of life that will make us responsible for how we create our own freedom, because that's Saturn in Aquarius. You want more freedom, you want more more time, then you have to create that somehow, and there's a responsibility in doing so. And then we will see many things coming in the future as Pluto enters Aquarius, and we'll talk about this again later, because it's going to be a lot of different possibilities. So who the other important thing is, have you created structures of freedom that include others? And that's very Aquarian. You know, are you working with your communities? Are you working with like-minded people? This is very, very important. If you're doing so, you're going with evolution. I've talked about this multiple times. Right now is a test point of that. Can we work together? Are we doing it right? How are we doing it? It's a test point. It might feel a little bit burdensome, sometimes, because Saturn, it's not fluffy. Saturn says, well, this is the work that needs to be done if you want this amount of freedom. And yes, it can feel like a burden, but then it's rewarding. Over time, it's rewarding. And it's not that bad. I mean, Saturn has that bad rep. And I think the reason why is because obviously if we're lazy, and this is exactly what it is, people who have been like sitting on their asses in their couch, like just doing nothing or escaping reality, because that's also the Venus Neptune, like, oh, life's too hard, I'm just going to escape reality. Well, the boot again, Saturn comes as like, well, no, it creates a limitation and a difficulty, so you actually have to do it. Like, okay, you didn't like it, now you have to do it. The words have to, should, need. Those are very much Saturnian words. But we could probably eliminate the have to, need to, must if we choose. If we have like self-discipline, which is also Saturn's realm, and that's Sun Saturn, is the ability to have a self-discipline. Otherwise, somebody is going to have to give you discipline. You see, this is the challenge, and this is what this transit all the way up to February 20th is going to be like. So how are you being disciplined with your own life, with your structures, and with what you actually do desire in order to be more free? This is the test point. So it's not a bad thing, it's just a test point, and ask yourself those questions. Especially if you want to manifest a reality that seems so rosy and beautiful. Well, I told you a couple months back that that would be the case. You're dreaming of a reality, of a possibility. Saturn will come and say, okay, now do it. Now we have also, that's like the Sun Saturn, and we will have also, we have at the same time, Mercury is trining Mars, around also peaking the 20th of February. So we will have the ability also to put our ideas into action. Also because Venus is entering Aries as well. And this will be on the, yeah, all of this happens like on the 20th. So we have a few little things. Okay. Rewind, get organized. February 20th, we have the new moon in Pisces. And that new moon in Pisces carries also Piscean energy, with the sun entering Pisces, Venus at the last degrees of Pisces. So we're going to have this big Piscean energy. And you know, Pisces is this connection to all that is the immense compassion for humanity, for humankind. It's not the love. When Venus is in Pisces, it's not the necessarily the it's the love of all. It's the love of the compassion for the child, for the mother, for the lover. It's the divine. And then we have Sun in Pisces, so there can be a lot of compassionate energy. But at the same time, Venus is leaving Pisces into Aries, and it will kind of give it a little bit of a twist. So this new moon has the potential, and it's interesting because this new moon happens at 1 degrees and 22 minutes of Pisces. So it's a very new moon. It's a very, very new moon, very new, into this like seeds of compassion for for our fellow human. It is almost the invitation to really let go and let dissolve anything that has not yet dissolved. Our ego structures, everything that we still think it's for my own benefit, my service to self, kind of dissolves with this moon and asks, like, can you just act out of a different place that is from a true divine compassion, compassion for others, the depth of connection that can happen. And you know, and this tends to happen when there are also natural disasters, is that people suddenly turn into their most human because they see in other the suffering. And unfortunately, this is a way that this will show up in several places, especially talking about this disaster in Turkey, and wherever else there is pain and grief and wounding. This is a time where we need to ask ourselves, are we bringing humanity and actual divinity back into humanity? And divinity, I mean the flow of energy that we allow that makes us more human, because we care about others, because we have the capacity to act and think. And with Mars in Gemini trining Mercury in Aquarius, our ideas, our futuristic thinking, ideas, how to solve problems, it's our ideas become action. So this is a good time to keep moving forward. Remember, it's also it's been a slow and steady move forward. Where we need to be careful is not to think of all the solutions are already there and then be erratic, because at the same time we have Mercury squaring Uranus. So we might feel too restless, too many ideas, too much to do. It's too much in our brain that we just want to jump to conclusions of things instead of taking it easy. So the challenge here is, okay, we know all the great solutions, they're there. Now let's act them out little by little, little by little. Otherwise, the mind could just get overwhelmed. That's what happens, is the overwhelm of the nervous system, is the Uranus Mercury. It's overwhelming. It's like, it's too much. It's like too much energy. So we need to channel that energy. And how to channel it also? Breathe, using deep breaths. Channel the energy by maybe journaling is always good because it gets the mental energy out, and all of your ideas, when they're on paper, it's like, okay, they're out. You're not holding them in your brain, because this is when things can get a bit crazy, restless, and then we make mistakes and say the wrong things, or act out of impulse without thought. And what can help you calm your nervous system? There's also some, you can also take back flowers. There's rescue remedy, which is really good, when you're like overwhelmed and your nervous system is in shock. So it's homeopathic, it's back flowers. That's if that can help you. Or anything that can help you calm the nervous system. I'm telling you, the thing that calms nervous system the most is breath. It's our most free thing to do, and it's deep breaths, deep in, hold, deep out. If you can do that for 3 or 4 minutes at a time during the day, that will definitely calm the nervous system, so your monkey mind can relax a little bit. So that is something to do within this time, so you can keep going and keep moving. So what happens then when let's see, when Venus enters Aries, there's going to be a shift of energy. So past that new moon, where we'll see it's what we have planted later on, but that's the invitation, is planting these new seeds for humanity and true unity. That's kind of how I feel into this moon. And this is a time for feeling and sensing. Again, this is not a time to be too strict. We will have a few days that are very mutable, which is the 18th, 19th, and 17, 18, 19, 20. Those days of the month, which is basically this week, allow for flow to guide your life, because you don't know what's coming. This is the time where we meet soulmates, where we meet the fated things, where we get into a path or paths of possibility that are going to be higher for us, or best for us. So if we're too controlling at this time, then we don't allow for that. And I know it's hard, because when we have the Sun Saturn, that has that ability to, okay, there's all this, but what of all this are you getting? So it's a good thing. If you ask me, it's a good thing. It's not a burdensome thing. It's just how responsible you want to be with that. Now Venus entering into Aries has a different feel. It has a feel of like, let's do it. Is just don't think about it too much. Just be brave. It's the love of action. It's the love of getting into something that you truly love. You want it, go get it. And we will have a beautiful conjunction of Venus to Jupiter by the end of the month. And that conjunction, it's Jupiter and Venus is the most expansive pleasure, fun. Like, this is the skydiver who just do it, just jump, and you're just having fun. Is the adrenaline rush, is the adrenaline junkie. That is the Venus Jupiter in Aries. Is I'm the adrenaline junkie, I'm just doing it. And whatever your heart's connected to, just do it. Now, there is a little caveat. Chiron is in the mix. So when Chiron is in the mix of that, there could be feelings or a sense like what I really want, and I really want to go for, and everything's ready for me. There might be like a little fear that goes, I might not be capable. There's like a pain point or a memory. And this is asking us again to heal that part. What have we not have the courage to go after in our lives? And see with compassionate eyes what part of yourself, or what have you not gone for? Is it the person you love? Is it the job you want? Is it the adventure you have been seeking? Is it moving? What is it that you have always kind of wanted? And the energy is kind of there that week to go, just do it. And it doesn't have to be so transcendental. It could also be small things that you really want. And this is supported. But again, why are you afraid of it will be the question that Chiron asked. And so we can look at it. Why are we still limiting ourselves? And this is we have the capacity to reflect what has created wounding, fear around that, and almost like shift it. It's a good time to let go of a lot of those old patterns. The Sun Saturn also helps us remind us what has been our upbringing in what feels challenging to us, and what were the voices in our head saying you can't do it, or you must do it, you have to be responsible, or whatever. And whatever parental information from our past we have, this is a time to see where all those voices could have come from, so we can start healing. And especially also, I feel that there is a big relationship healing period this whole time, because Venus is very active, especially passing through that conjunction with Neptune and being in a sextile with Pluto. There's a capacity for such depth, and healing of the self, of the relationship we have to ourselves and the relationship we have to others. There's that huge capacity. Again, great time for forgiveness. When we have these aspects, it's great time for forgiveness. So a lot is going on because the energy is kind of in different places. We have the Piscean energy, and then the Aries energy coming also really strong at the end of the month, and that will carry through the next month. A lot of impetus and movement and courage. This is a time for immense courage. And it is supported, courage is supported. That's why just do it. This is what I have to say. Just do it. Is there anything else that I would like to talk about? This is also a good time for dream work, as especially towards these up until the 20th of the month or so these few next days. Write down your dreams, because there could be lots of messages in your dreams. Great time for art. Like I told you, I am an artist, so if you're an artist, get plugged in. This is the time for creating your art and sharing it with the world. Like I shared earlier, when I really got into it very consciously, that it was a great time to do this. I had a great experience of fulfilling my artistic desire. So this is a great time for art, for music, for expressing with others. It maybe take that workshop that you've wanted to take forever and you haven't, where you can express your own artistic gifts. Remember, art is not for artists only. It's in the nature of self. Every single human can be an artist, because we are all creative, in different ways. Water also. Go to water. That's always very beautiful. With the Piscean energy is understanding the ways of water, which is slow. I myself, I have been doing dancing in water. That's also something I do. That's how I channel that energy as well. You don't know where you're gonna go. It just happens. You just dance in the water with another person. It's a very beautiful experience, and this is called like dolphin dance or contact dance in water. I do that practice, and it's absolutely freeing and beautiful. And that's a very Piscean expression of of um of energy, basically. And I share with you the things, how I live the energies, so that you understand that you can always choose how you live every single energy if you're conscious of it. So this is the invitation, and I think this is all I have for you this time. There's always more to talk about, but this is kind of where I'm leaving you today. and hoping you're going to be having a great week. Please let me know in the comments below what your experiences have been. Um, also, feel free to share, like, subscribe. It helps the algorithm find these videos. And if you find these helpful, please feel free to also share it with people around you. And I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.